What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about the UFC 286 pay per view going down in London, England this weekend. The trilogy between Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman taking place for the welterweight title. Um, Pretty mediocre pay per view card, but a lot of interesting matchups. So I'm excited to talk about a lot of these. Been doing a lot of tape this week, and we're coming off a pretty fire a week last week. And I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Ozzy. How we doing this week, my man?
Ooh, it's the most beautiful, wonderful time of the year. I feel like March Madness and all these things and the UFC kind of go hitting their stride at the end of the first quarter. It's just like the first time you're getting like real betting events you kind of like feel good about and everything coalescing together great. But I've told you a few times, traditionally do really well this time of the year, both just all around in all sports, NBA, college basketball, so that's carried over to this year. And yeah, good card last week. And pay-per-view this week. So, some fights that are more important this week. But last week I was very entertained, and we finished the night off on a high note in the Northeast. Do you have anything to say about your doubts about the Northeast shootbox jiu-jitsu style we
That was
saw there?
something. That
Yeah.
was something. I did not see that one coming at all. A complete lights out, shutout, most dominant performance ever by Marab over Jan.
He
For a
trucked him.
while there, like 7 or 8 minutes, I was thinking like, "Wait, Jan's gotta turn this around at some point, doesn't he?" And then it just never happened, and Jan was broken by the time the 3rd round started.
25 minutes is a long time to be fighting someone, and Marab soundly beat him for 25 minutes. This guy did not have one moment, I don't think, in that fight.
Who the hell is gonna, beat him, though? I mean, honestly, like,
Marab,
Aljo might
dude,
be.
Marab is a problem. Like,
Yo, how about our boy Matt Frevola tweeting at Dana saying, "Did you saw that shit?"
what did he? No, I didn't. Oh, yeah. He
Well,
says about the not fighting teammates.
yeah, he was like, "Loyalty is worth more than a paycheck," or something like
Dude, I
that. That
mean
shit
it.
was dope.
I just don't understand why. Like, look, they're making bunch of money right now just beating up all these other guys. So why would they fight? Like, why would they have to fight each other? Like, what? How? I guess they could elevate each other a little bit. But I don't see the need to do it, honestly. Even if Marab, no offense to him, even if he got the belt, like he's not really a pay-per-view draw. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah,
No, yeah,
like
he
he's
was
not
selling
even
none.
getting pay-per-view points until he would himself have the belt. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what, like, it's not really even that viable. But I have heard all these things. But
He's
Aljamain
got a lot of
Sterling,
matchups.
yeah,
He can fight.
oh,
He's gonna fight the winner of Cheeto and
easy.
Corey,
Maybe not. I
and
don't know.
then
Maybe not.
the winner of Yadong and Simone is right up there. Um,
Now
you
Marab, he's
know,
gonna be on the sidelines, for a bit. You won't hear about a fight for him until the summer, at the earliest. But I think what's gonna happen is Aljamain is gonna fight Henry Cejudo. I'm not gonna say who I think is gonna win, but you could guess, I'm sure. And then he'll fight Sean O'Malley, and then he'll move up to 145 and see what he wants to do there. But it is interesting because it's like, does Aljo actually want to fight consistently on 145, given that he would need to beat Volkanovski most likely, which is
well,
probably not gonna happen.
needs to fight. O'Malley needs to fight again. He can't because his win now is invalidated by Marab beating Peter.
That's not what's gonna happen, bro.
Who
So,
knows? Could
O'Malley's next fight will be for the belt.
No, I don't think
Sure.
so.
All right, we'll see. But anyway, great card. A lot of the props hit. A lot of money line size. We spoke about that Martinez versus Saeed fight in length at length. Kind of said, hey, we're looking for a pick 'em fight. We're getting plus 220. Easy way to go. Volkov, look, or not Volkov. Well, Volkov did look good, but ended up not really betting him. He killed the over. Krylov looked great. It was a great card overall. Unfortunately, Rafael Sunsao had to go out on that bad note, that sour note. That would have been one of the biggest nights for me ever if I would have hit that. And then the Josh Frem bet, probably bet of the year for a lot of people there. That was a crazy, 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 crazy value ROI on that one.
Yeah, and we'll see what the line is for the rematch. Sequarius Dumas calling for the
That's
rematch
right.
on Twitter
Listen,
this week.
if
So
if that's what he wants to do, I think we could rile up MMA Twitter. Like, MMA Twitter needs to get behind this. Maybe MMA Twitter could make it like their task for like their the first fight for us to ever really get put together. That one. Just show that Dana, Sean Shelby, all these guys that like we need to see this one again. Like,
Just a campaign. That would be some good fun.
petition. Like how what's the biggest petition we could get signed for like Sequarius? We got that guy Trevor Peak out of parole or some shit. What can we do in terms of this fight? Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened with the lock situation. When we all band
Oh
together,
God,
we're an
come on.
unstoppable
Yes,
force.
exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, great week for me though. Plus 5.26 units. Martinez Frem came through big. That over in the Williams fight, we were both on that. Only one
That was a
sweaty
great
moment
one.
there, but that
That was
was
a good one.
obviously the right side.
Carl's a lay and
But
pray
enough,
master. Insane lay and pray on that guy.
yeah. And that's enough about last week, though. We got 15 fights, so we got to get into
Oof.
these sons of bitches. So first fight, women's flyweight fight. Veronica Macedo, now going by Veronica Hardy, married to Dan Hardy, taking on Juliana Miller. Miller is a huge favorite, minus 450. Macedo plus 350. So I mean, Macedo is terrible at all things. She's like some karate or taekwondo girl who throws these bullshit kicks in the feet, and then has just terrible wrestling and gets taken down all the time. Miller wrestles in almost every single fight, so to me it seems definite that Miller is going to wrestle her here. Just seems like a matter of, is she going to finish? Is she going to make it to a decision? And I just think that Macedo is just so flat on her back. And she's going to spend a lot of time on her back that Miller should have all the opportunities to finish here. So I'll go with Miller by finish. What about you?
I'm gonna agree. Juliana Miller has a pretty solid jujitsu background, kind of like a 10th planet, kind of thing going on there, but trains a lot, pretty gritty, pretty mean, has some top game, has some, bottom submissions as well. So I think she'll probably end up locking up Veronica Macedo. But Macedo, for a girl that has been out 3 years now, she's still only 27. So maybe she's been doing some training. I don't really know. Not a fight that I want to bet on the money line. But I did bet a little small bet on under 2.5 at it was like -10, a little under -110. Um, so yeah, I think there's gonna be grappling. So Macedo maybe could get a submission, but most likely Juliana with some ground and pound or like a choke.
Yeah, so you think that's the way to play the under is under 2.5 instead of ITD?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused about that, but I guess I would agree. I would think that it would probably finish by then. I think if it hasn't come, I know Miller did finish her last fight over 2.5 rounds, but uh, I mean that woman's a lot more capable than Macedo at this point. So
I don't think a lot of
enough
people.
about
I
that
don't
one.
think people last that long with either of these two. So I think under is good.
Yep. Next one, lightweight division. Jai Herbert taking on Ludovic Klein. Uh, Klein's the favorite, -193. Herbert plus 168. You're a lifelong fan of Jai Herbert. Any faith in him in this matchup?
And I do love me some Jai Herbert. And I mean, I'm not gonna say I would pay to get another post fight interview for Jai Herbert. I'm not going that far, but it wouldn't be the worst thing for me to see. But I do have a bet on Ludovic Klein in this fight. It was at -155. The market has moved considerably since then. And I just feel, Klein here, Southpaw, kickboxer, but has some decent wrestling, some explosive shots, decent timing, at times. But the thing that I think he needs to use here is obviously the kicks, kick to the legs, to the body. I think his left hand and his ability to take the angles on Jai Herbert is going to be able to land, help him land both of those. And then if he needs to, I think he could take Jai Herbert down. I feel Jai Herbert is not a great grappler, and from my experience, I don't think guys like Jai Herbert really improve their grappling all too much. He's also like 34, 35. He's British, right? Like it's not I'm not trying to go to too many stereotypes, but he's like a striker boxer guy. Coming from the back, coming from over there, he's not really gonna get too much better. I feel that if Ludovic can time any takedowns on him, it's gonna be easy. And then when you add on top the fact that his chin, he's been, KO'd in a devastating way, a number of times. If he get and like how he kind of approached his last fight, I just think that Klein could win this fight so many different ways. Leg kicks, hurting him to the body, knocking him out, taking him down, holding him against against the fence. So for that reason, all those reasons, I am on Ludwig Klein here.
Yeah, I agree with everything there. I'm not going to add too much. I will say though, I think the market doesn't really know how to price Klein. We've seen him win as a big underdog. We've seen him lose as a big favorite a few times. So I think um, the market does kind of bounce all over the place. I mean, he was plus 300 on when Jones was coming in on short notice, and he won that fight easily. So I do tend to agree with the line movement in this one, with Klein being closer to 65-ish%. That seems right. I mean, Herbert, you said not a good grappler. That was kind of generous, bro. He's a bad
He's
grappler. So
bad. He's bad.
yeah, I think Klein probably that'll be his objective here: mix in the clinch, mix in some takedowns, and wrestle his way to a decision. I think I would be a little surprised to see it end by finish. Um,
But I'm very
right,
confident that these odds are pretty correct. Like, there's no way you could say Jai Herbert favorite here. Imagine if these guys fought like
I
Cage
agree.
Warriors for a Cage Warriors lightweight title, which this is what it is. Ludwig Klein would like easily be the favorite. So
Yeah, I think Klein by decision plus 225 is good.
225.
Um, because it's the same prices as KO. I mean, I know Herbert's
I
fragile,
don't know.
but he's also like a kind of a low tempo
I
fighter.
prefer
And I
Ludovic knock or sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just prefer him to win by knockout just because I feel like Jai Herbert, like when you look at him when he gets in that fight, he's moving all over this place. His hands are moving all over the place. Like as soon as he starts getting hit, I feel like he's in a like both these guys fought at London as well last time. So I think they're comfortable over there. I think they someone's getting finished here. So I like the under as well.
but would you agree that outside of head kicks, Klein doesn't have much like finishing power? Like
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I agree, but I feel like this guy's gonna be there to be hit. Like
and I think Klein is 6 inches shorter, 5 inches shorter in reach. I think that might make it a little difficult to get the head kick up there. So I kind of think that decision is the way to go. Um, Enough about that one though. Moving on, women's flyweight division. Joanne Calderwood taking on Luana Carolina. Calderwood's the favorite at uh, minus 173. Carolina plus 148. Not a fight I really looked into much. I do think that Joanne wins the fight. Much more experience at the higher level, and she's pretty consistent to just pump out a lot of strikes. I mean, she's had multiple fights where she's landed over 100 strikes, and Carolina's pretty bad everywhere. But I mean, both of these women are not reliable women. I actually think that if there's any bet I would have to make a bet on in this fight, it would be for the fight to end by finish at plus 240, just because I think both these women have been finished in like stupid ways multiple times. Both of them have been submitted or, just finished in unexplicable ways a few times. So I think that could possibly happen here. So
interesting.
what do you
I
think?
think it's
Any real read here?
I think it's inexplicable.
It
Yeah,
is.
but
It
I could
is.
barely say it either as well, so no shame in that. Um, we're talking about what fight are we talking about here? What fight was it?
Calderwood
Calderwood versus
and Carolina.
Luana Carolina. So I guess they like Luana Carolina over in the UK. She's back again after she got her jaw smashed. I will not.
I think the Cachoeira fight was in London too, like, back in the day.
Really? Oh, that was a fire fight. That fight was great, dude. Cachoeira was eating some shots on
Oh, no, it
Carolina.
was in Brazil.
Man,
But, yeah, that was a banger.
man,
That was a
Cachoeira was eating some shots back then. Not much has changed other than her picking up. She's like ranked or something. It's crazy. I had a bet with one of my friends about this fight Victor Altamirano to be ranked during his UFC career, but unfortunately my friend died and didn't get to see the day. But I was gonna rub it in his face, so bad. I think I'm gonna try to email his family though. Anyway,
what a
yeah.
fascinating tidbit. But what? Wait, email the family to what? To get them to pay out the
Yeah,
bet?
exactly. I'm joking. Um, but anyway, yeah. So the only thing I'll add is I'll put in here is I know some guys that bet uh, Joanna like minus 150, 145, but at this price now where it's like kind of like bouncing along, it looks a little trappy to me, and I don't like Joanne Calderwood, so I'm gonna pass.
Yeah, I mean, she's old as shit. She's 1-4 in her last 5.
This fight can
She's
let
a bad
let's
grappler.
move
She's
on.
married to her
Yeah,
coach.
let's move on.
Next fight, flyweight division. Jake Hadley taking on Malcolm Gordon.
Ooh.
Hadley minus 400, Gordon plus 300. Any thoughts here?
Jake Hadley, I like some of the stuff Jake Hadley does. Jake Hadley's just a weird guy. There's something wrong with him. Something off with the guy. You could tell. You could see in his eyes. You look at him and talking in these interviews, and you can see there's something weird with the guy. But when he is on point, I like some of the stuff that I see with the grappling. He's fought 5 rounds before. He's a great grappler, fantastic grappler. And I think Luke Shanks and Cage War, he could completely grapple fuck this guy. And even Mitch Raposo when he gets him on the ground, the guy's really good with the grappling. But just a weird guy. I don't like betting on weird guys, so I avoid guys like Jake Hadley. I think here against a guy like Malcolm, the difference is Malcolm Gordon, he comes in kind of intense. You know what I mean? Sometimes, but then he just wilts and folds. But Jake Hadley, he's the kind of guy. He's a little bit more passive unless he knows he's the big dog. Um, but he's weird, so I pass as well. Again, no other thoughts. This is a trash fight. This fight sucks.
Yeah, definitely a weird one.
Why do they have
I kind of
Malcolm Gordon? Bro, I'm telling you, I could find Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard six better 125 or 135ers than these two guys. What are they doing? I don't know.
Yeah, also because Candelario is better than Gordon, and you should be moving. I guess they're just trying to build Hadley. They realized they pushed Hadley a little too quick with Nascimento, and now they're trying to make sure he gets some wins under his belt. And he should definitely get the win here. If he were smart, he would honestly just keep the fight standing because Gordon is a bad striker and he's really fragile. And Gordon actually does fairly well when being grappled. Like he's pretty used to being grappled. You saw him hold his own against Mokaev. You saw him turn the tide against Figueiredo. Um, he finished that fraud Bondar with that nasty wizard. He literally wizard Bondar and just broke his fucking arm. So uh, I would say Hadley probably just outstrikes him and I don't know, probably knocks him out at some point, man. I mean, Gordon is so fragile. What is Hadley KO here? Plus 170, not a good price. And plus he could always hurt him and then submit him as well. So tough fight to bet. I don't see much of an angle. Hadley ITD is juiced to the shit. Mine 65%.
That's not
Can't get
fair.
behind
That
that.
KO price is not fair, bro. It's not cool.
Wha
Let's hope.
You think that we should be getting better?
Yeah, of course. But hopefully when FanDuel or DraftKings opens, maybe we get a 220. Maybe that'll be a good one. Because I feel like I don't know. Let's move on.
Yeah, I think it'll be KO. So, honestly, under 1.5, I mean, dude, Hadley's strikes look pretty fierce against Candelario, did they not? I mean, pretty
I
high
remember,
volume,
dude. I
high,
barely remember that. I mean,
high octane fight.
that's not a kind of fight that I did not care about this one.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Hadley impressed me there. Next fight. Now we're getting into the good ones. Those first 4 fights, one more fight, the Mokai fight, I don't care about, but pretty much all the rest of these fights, I've got some takes on. So
Cool.
we're getting into them here. We're getting into them hot in the middleweight division. Chris Leroy Duncan taking on Dushko-Todorovic, middleweight division here. We got Duncan minus 220, Dushko plus 185. Um, I think it's my turn to start this one off. So I did a lot of tape on this one. Duncan's the type of fighter where he's mostly like honestly, he's like Raymond Daniels, if you guys know who that is. He
Whoa,
has like some sort
whoa,
of
whoa,
no, it's an exact comparison, bro.
whoa.
Listen, he has like definitely comes from some sort of taekwondo, kickboxing, karate background because he throws majority kicks, a lot of spinning back kicks, side kicks. This guy definitely has pretty fast kicks, but he doesn't throw many punches. So also throws a lot of elbows too. I kind of like that about him, but he's not a good grappler. We've seen him in Cage Warriors fight for like an hour, and for 20 minutes of that hour, he is being taken down, pushed against the cage, grinded against the cage, gets taken down and held down. And we've seen him lose multiple rounds to multiple different fighters being taken down. Um, specifically Will Curry outgrappled him for 8 minutes. McClurkin outgrappled him for a round. Milan outgrappled him for a round. But he won all those fights too. So um, I don't think the guy is a complete bum. I think he's a good athlete and he's dangerous on the feet. He has a lot of weaknesses, mostly in the grappling area, but he also is comfortable battling back from adversity and getting that knockout win after being grappled. I kind of compare him to Armin Petrosian, who is a guy who pretty all his opponents have tried to grapple him because he's a dangerous kickboxer, and he temporarily gets grappled for periods of time, and then he separates and knocks the guys out. That's not really a good strategy to win fights at the higher level. But Dushko is kind of at that level where it might still work because Dushko, he's not a good striker. He's not particularly durable. His defense is pretty bad, but that's mostly to punchers as well. So, I mean, I think it's not like you can really rely on Duncan to head kick this guy. He doesn't throw punches, so unless he's gonna have to head kick or body kick, spinning kick Dushko to really hurt him. I think. Um, I guess an elbow could happen in the clinch too, kind of like Cheaty got him with. But Dushko's MO is clear here. He's gonna be looking to grapple. He's gonna be looking to push the fight into the clinch, get the fight in close range instead of at distance. And I think that's why he's the value side because he's going to achieve or attempt the right game plan, which is going to be to grapple, to clinch, and to grind Duncan out. Am I positive that he gets that done enough to win? No, not at all. So I think you should. Dust goes to side here. He's worth a bet. Wouldn't go crazy. I think I'll be on him for a unit and I just think that he definitely can grind his way to a decision here, but he also could win portions of the fight in grappling, look like a great bet, look like he's doing really well, and then all of a sudden Duncan separates and then hits him with one shot, and it's all over. So I think Duncan needs a lot less to go right for him in this fight. He could lose the majority of the fight and still win. While I can't say the same about Dushko. Dushko is really going to have to put on a good 15-minute performance here and take this one over. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this one. What did you think of Duncan on tape, and do you think Dushko is the guy to do it?
Yeah, so this is an interesting fight, honestly. It's in the best division. Low people say 135, 150. No, Maloney. 185, best division in the UFC.
Middleweight. Yep.
And we got
I tweeted about it
and
today. Yeah.
we got a great European contender fight right here going on, guys. You got to see how this matchmaking happens. This is a glorified Cage Warriors middleweight championship, which is a regional European heavy championship thing. So they're fighting in there, they'll move their way up and eventually, one of them has to fight more up on the card. We got the number one contender European fight. We got Marvin Vettori versus Roman-Dolidze. That's the number one contender fight for the Europeans. So eventually maybe you'll see Duncan up there or maybe Dusko. Probably not Dusko. But yeah, I mean about this fight, Duncan, he's an interesting guy because you can see that like he's working some of the grappling. He has like that striking background, like you said. So he knows how to counter grapple. He knows how to do some of these things. But on the offensive side, like he definitely has some holes in his game. I would rate him if I was to rate him maybe like a 3 straight blue belt is what I will give him on his belt if I had to. Which is, that's how a lot of this like a lot like Lerone Murphy as well. He kind of has that kind of grappling where like he'll counter, he'll get on top, he'll start throwing elbows on you if you can, but on the bottom you can see he's trash. With the wrestling, you can see he's non-traditional. He'll look to athlete, his way out of a lot of positions. I think he caught Will Curry by surprise a few times in the first fight, and then Will Curry felt froggy. He was like, "Let's do it again," and then the same shit happened in the second fight. It was like a tale of the same fight, except it was like a finish in one of them. I believe if I remember right. But here I think that Dusko, like you said, I think in the clinch, I think he is more savvy. He is more native. In those positions. You saw against Shitty, like he does a lot of the right things. He's kind of looking to ride up on on the body after he gets these takedowns. He's looking to take post away. He's looking to wrist ride. He's looking to stay on the hips. He's looking to tie up legs, and I think he might be able to do that here against Duncan. Duncan does look like a plus athlete to me though, so I think a lot of his fights, I think he's a very projectable guy. in terms of where he's at now, but there's a lot of ways that he could go, from here as well. I personally like Dusko here as a bet. I did bet him at plus 180. I'll be adding some action on him at, if the price goes up as well. And I just think that, at range, like you said, I think, even though Dusko, I wouldn't describe him as a great striker, he also has like one of those like, Taekwondo karate backgrounds. So he has decent kicks himself. I don't think that's gonna be a shock to him blocking kicks, getting away from him. And then, he will throw some hands as well. He's just a little easy to get hit, on the counter if you're quick, which I think could be a problem for him here. But I think that yes, it should be a good fight. It should be very competitive. And I think it's a great bet to go with Dusko here. If this fight was in Cage
I
Warriors,
could talk.
it would be easy bet plus 180 on Dusko. I mean, Jesse Taylor was like plus
That's the
400.
theme of the
Yeah,
card.
dude. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you have this fight under a different banner, yeah, and you always got to remember, guys, the betting tip for people that are investing time in this podcast: the Brits, bro, always bet on these British guys, and their lines are always inflated. Like no fail, like does not fail, full stop.
But also, the UFC does do a pretty good job matchmaking these British fighters to give them wins in their hometown.
Yeah, but
Um,
look at Mike Grundy a few
what
years ago or a year ago, bro. People were just betting Mike Grundy against fucking Makwan. That
that
was
was a
that
bad
was
one.
the
That's true.
British
That's
people.
true.
That's the only people that it was, dude. He fucking sucked. Do you
Um,
see how much the CEO of Bet365 made last year? She made like $100 million.
the
Yeah,
woman?
she's a woman, bro. She's like the
Blasphemy.
she might be the highest paid. She's like one of the highest paid executives in the world, and
I could talk
that's
about
because
that fight for like
her
10.
her stomping grounds where she gets all her honey from is the Brits.
I could talk about that fight for at least 10 more minutes, but the last point I'll make is that Duncan has been pro for 2.5 years. Keep that in mind.
Sco's got like four
So
times, three times, two times the fights of his as well.
yeah, but in his career is almost 3 times as long.
He had a
Um,
lot of amateur
Anyway,
fights.
another good fight, really good fight here. Featherweight division, Leron Murphy taking on Gabriel Santos. Santos coming into the UFC very short notice, 8 days notice to be exact. Leron Murphy minus 183, plus 158 for Santos. Kind of the opposite script of Murphy's debut. If you remember, Murphy, I believe, took the Zubaira fight on short notice, flew into Russia. Actually, no, that was in Abu Dhabi, still enemy territory, and took on an established guy in his debut. And now Santos doing the same thing, flying into England, taking on the hometown fighter. It's your turn to start this one off, so I'll
Yeah.
let you give your
I'm gonna
thoughts on
start
this
being a
one.
little quicker. That last one, I went a little too long on those. But yo, looking at this fight, interesting fight. Two guys, both of them are southpaws. Santos, I liked what I saw a little bit from him. He's patient enough when he has to be, but he also goes rabies when given the opportunity. He fought a lot of legit guys. The last like two or three opponents of his were definitely, or four or five opponents actually were really good guys. The Delano fight I thought was particularly impressive because I think that he did show some of that patience. Even coming in there as the underdog, he kind of like picked away at Delano, found his opportunities as he went along. And I kind of like a lot of the things that I see from him. 26 years old. I think pretty well rounded. I would say his grappling, his takedowns aren't amazing, but they're not bad either. I think when he wrestles with timing in mind before he goes for the takedowns, I do think that that his takedowns are solid. His cardio has looked pretty good. He got dropped in that Barboza fight and came back and finished that guy fucking immediately in the second round. But I do think that here against a guy like Leron Murphy, he's gonna have to have early success. I feel because Leron Murphy, he's gives me like Neil Magny vibes. He's like the kind of guy where he kind of comes in the UFC. A lot of these British guys as well, like Michael Bisping almost as well. They come into UFC. They're kind of like well rounded all around. Like you could kind of see while the UFC sees like some potential in them, right? They're kind of maybe athletic a little bit, but you can see that they're very green in the grappling, especially, right? They fucking suck over there at grappling. And like the two Huga fight, really bad reactions to some of the grappling. Then he kind of comes back against Ramos and finishes him from the top position with ground and pound. I think that Douglas, took him down maybe, or I don't know if they spent too much time on the ground, but Makwan was all over him. And even in that fight, Douglas,
I
yeah,
don't
he
know.
was on the ground there. But even in the Makwan fight, that was 2 years after the Tehuga fight, and he still looked kind of trash on the ground. So I'll tell you, I was gonna be pretty big on Nathaniel Wood, no matter the price. Well, I'm not saying no matter the price, but at the price that I think it was gonna come at against Leroy Murphy, that's one that I had circled on my fridge. And against Santos, I kind of want to do it as well, but you know what I kind of like here more? I kind of like the under because I feel like Santos he's gonna kind of come out of the gates. I think pretty solid, and I think that Leroy Murphy will not give a lot of ground. So I think what will happen is either Santos will have a lot of success and he'll pick up a finish, or his way towards the later finish, or Leroy Murphy will take whatever this guy's got to give and be able to finish him. So I was eyeing this plus 130 on the under 2.5 here. Um, the side, I'd probably lean maybe slightly Santos, but I think I prefer the under.
Yeah, I think the only problem with the under though is Murphy, he just doesn't throw many strikes. He throws so many feints and he does all this feinting and then he doesn't really build on it that much. And another bad thing about that under possibly is he was chopping the legs of Andrade really well. I mean, really sitting down on his leg kicks and butchering his legs. And in round 2, you saw Andrade, like, limp from these leg kicks, and then round 3, Murphy just is doing nothing. He is the one actually getting hit with punches and, was getting outstruck by Andrade that round, so it's like he's doing all this attritional work with the legs, and then he's not really building upon it, so I just don't think Murphy's a natural finisher. So I could see I think it's gonna be a pretty high tempo fight because Santos brings the pressure. He comes forward pretty much on the feet, when he's striking. If he's not looking to strike, he's looking to grapple as well, and I think he has a grappling path here. I don't think he is some phenomenal grappler, but I think that we've seen him hit takedowns enough, to know that it's a pretty standard part of his repertoire, and that he can definitely go to it here if he needs to. I don't think the guys who have taken Murphy down, like Andrade, like Ramos, or like Magwan, or anything, exceptional wrestling wise. So I think Santos is definitely capable of getting the fight to the floor. And on the feet, man, I just think that it could be, Santos's pressure and higher intensity winning him these striking exchanges. I mean, he's a sharp southpaw striker as well, really fast left hand. I definitely acknowledge that the striking exchanges will be close here. Murphy has the potential to win the striking, but I just think that Santos has a lot more clear upside here. I think if anyone is really putting a stamp on this fight, it'll actually be Santos surprising people on short notice, putting up a good fight. This guy's been ready, man. I mean, LFA championship title fights are probably the best thing you could possibly do coming into the UFC. Like, if you're fighting in 5 round fights in LFA, you're a legit fighter, and I think you're pretty promising. What are you gonna say?
Lefebvre Brazil's no joke.
Yeah. And he looked sharp in that Delano fight, man. Just kept turning up the pressure as the fight went on. Like you mentioned, he got dropped in that one fight and was able to battle back. So it seems like Santos has really good cardio. The only way I can see where that us being dead wrong on this one is that if Santos is just not in shape because of the short notice. So I think this line should be probably closer to like minus 130, 150 for Murphy. So I think there's a good amount of value on Santos. I'll be on him for about a unit.
Sick.
And that's going to take us to the next fight. One of the least interesting prelims, I think, is flyweight division. Mokaev versus Filho. Filho making his UFC debut, coming off a nasty knockout in the Contender Series. Mokaev minus 800, Filho plus 550. So Filho is a Nova União fighter. That's always a good sign. One of the best gyms of all time. And he looks solid, but I don't know if it is really going to matter in this fight because. Um, if you're fighting Mokaev, you probably have to knock him out on the feet before he can start grappling you because this guy is just a relentless, wrestler, relentless grinder, and he can just shoot takedowns for the whole 15 minutes and just ride your back, grind you out. Not a really exciting style of fighting. I I think that, a guy like Tatsuro Taira is a much more exciting grappler who makes shit happen after his takedowns. Mokaev, man, he shoots these takedowns and just, like, nothing happens after, man. You saw him versus fucking Malcolm Gordon. He was getting reversed and losing position there. He couldn't establish any positions on Charles Johnson. So, I mean, he's gonna win a lot of fights. He's got the style to do it in risk adverse fashion, but it's not really exciting. And in terms of Philo, I mean, there's not much footage of him offensive grappling. There's a fight way back in 2015, him fighting Bruno Correa, where he gets taken down multiple times, gives up his back a few times, gets his back taken. So that makes me think that his chances, aren't good. I know it was a really, really long time ago, guys, but there's just not much footage of this guy defending takedowns since then. So, I mean, I don't think Philo really has a chance. He's knockout or bust, right? I mean, there's no way he's winning rounds over Mokaev or submitting him. So he's gonna have to win by knockout. So if you have any faith in the guy at all, just take his KO is 16-1. I mean, that's a lot better than money line. So if you're feeling like betting against Mokaev, then just take his KO. I don't know.
Um,
I- Any angles here? Tough
yeah,
fight to bet.
so I do know one guy who you don't know, you respect. You don't know that this guy has this opinion. You respect. Who he says he thinks that Philo is live. And I see some good skills from the guy. Don't get me wrong. He's fought some good competition, like you mentioned. Has some kind of killer instinct as well. Comes from a good camp. Brazil versus Russia, right? We always like these matchups. The Brazilians take these matchups very seriously. Um,
Technically, he's a British
Whatever,
citizen now, I
dude.
think.
You know what I'm saying? Um, but I kind of liked maybe looking at over 1.5 here, right? You just heard Martian go on his rant about Mokaev style. The guy's boring. He'll look to consolidate position over anything else. If you are looking to get up from under him, and I think Filo, he's not like a lay on my back Brazilian, as much. I think he will look like the Novo União style, right? Like looking to get up, looking to kind of cause scrambles if he has to. So I think you might be able to get a good price on a 1.5 if when that pops, not if, but when. So I'll look at that.
Minus 160 on DK.
Okay, that's not. I was hoping maybe a little less, but that's not bad.
That's a pretty good way to play the fight. I think it should go over, but also, I mean, there's just have you seen anything of Fila
I
defending
think he's
takedowns? Like,
better
are
than
we,
Malcolm Gordon. So
yeah, I mean, that's true. But like I was saying, Gordon's been there before with grappling. He's
this guy's Brazilian, bro.
um yeah, but the range, you know what I'm talking about. The range of how good Filo could be from anywhere from, terrible to really,
Definitely
really
not
good. I mean,
bad.
there's a huge
He's
range.
definitely not bad.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, good seems to have good striking, comes from a good camp. Um, oh, and he had one fight where his jujitsu looked really good. Which fight was that? He choked a guy
Telling
out.
you, this guy's not. He's solid.
Um, Silva. So his second most recent fight. His jujitsu looked really
Telling
good.
you, he's solid, bro.
Um, it's a shame there's not these fights aren't available. I was trying to find these fights. I was trying to find his Salvador fight, but
Oh, I think
Shooto
I might
Brazil
have
kind
that
of
one. I
slacking
think I
them.
might have that one for you. I'll send it to you.
I don't know, bro. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if you
I'll
had
let
that
you
one.
know.
Moving on. Next fight on the prelims. We got about 12 more prelims left before we get to the main card here,
Oh
guys.
shit.
Um, Lightweight division: Sam Patterson taking on Yanal Ashmaz. Two guys making their UFC debut. Patterson minus 270. Ashmaz plus 230.
Can
Your
you do
turn to
this?
start
Can
this
you
one
start
off.
this
What do you
one?
think? So, Patterson, he looks like a decent striker to me. He's patient. He's not one of these, contender series bums who just swing shots, finishes some guy, and that's it. You can see that he has some method to his striking. Fights behind a jab, and he's extremely tall and lanky for the weight class too. I think at some point he's gonna get chinned. But Yanal being a short guy with short arms, I don't think he's gonna provide much striking threat. I mean, Patterson's going to be what 6 inches taller than him. I mean, it's going to be hard for you all to find the chin of Patterson here. But, that makes me think that Yanal's gonna be looking to grapple. I mean, you've see if you I was watching Yanal's fights, and over fight to fight, I'm seeing him grapple a little bit more and kinda growing confidence in his grappling because I think the guy is a solid grappler. But he's not like a guaranteed reliable fighter to go for the takedowns here. It's not like he has a track record of consistently wrestling. So you would think that he would realize that his path is grappling here. Patterson has had a good amount of tape out there of him getting taken down and being put in bad positions grappling. I don't think the guy's a bad grappler. He does have a good submission game, but in terms of his wrestling, I think that he's definitely going to get exploited at some point. Not sure Yanal is the guy to do that, but I definitely think it is dog or pass. I think that there's no way you could be laying the juice on Patterson in this spot. Over 2-1 on a debuting fighter. I mean, that's just something I think is almost never a good idea. Yeah, I mean, I think Yanal is definitely on a lot of good dope here as well. So don't count this guy's chances out. I think that he actually could surprise some people and grapple his way to a win here. So I think it's dog or pass. Maybe a small bet on Oshpaz for me.
I disagree. I will. I do not believe he'll be winning this fight. I like Sam Patterson. People hate on Sam Patterson. I think it's the look. Is it maybe the look? Like, it's actually kind of ironic and funny that he's got like that long giraffe neck and shit like that, but he's so good with the guillotines. So it's almost like I don't know if it was innate or if it was maybe nature, where fucking people choking this motherfucker out. He's like, God damn, I gotta learn that stuff. And then, he starts doing it on people. But he's got a good front guillotine game, goes for it a lot, knows the mechanics of it, loves seeing that. He kind of knows how, and he has a mix, a variation of the choke in a few different ways. And then overall grappling, I don't think his grappling's bad. He's fought way better competition than this guy has fought, or him, in addition. He had that one fight that was a draw. That fight, that other guy was a pretty good grappler. Do you watch that one? You checked that one out, right? It was like you didn't
No,
see
I
it,
actually
the
didn't. I
Indian
missed that
one.
one.
The guy was like an Indian, I think, or Arab, whatever. That guy was a good grappler, and Patterson beats the shit out of him in the third round and gets a 10-8, I believe, is what it ended up happening, and it was a draw. But he's faced some adversity before. Even that contender fight, I thought that it was interesting where he got hit with a few punches, came back, finished that guy. But he's good. He's solid, man. He's got good submissions from everywhere. I think he's got good cardio. And I think he's gonna finish this guy, So I think it's gonna be by submission. But I wouldn't blame anybody just playing the ITD number. But yeah, I think it's a solid bet. I think he's gonna finish this guy, and I think he's gonna get a number of UFC wins.
Good. I'm glad we're disagreeing on some stuff here. Next fight, lightweight division, Chris Duncan, Omar Morales, very closely lined fight, closest line fight on the entire card. Kind of pick 'em fight going back and forth here now. Duncan's slight favorite, -117, Morales -103. I know you're interested in this one. What
Of
are your
this
thoughts?
fight, it was an interesting fight. Right when it kind of first got announced, I was interested in it because I'll tell you right away, I've been low on Omar Morales his whole UFC career. I've not liked him. I've tried to fade him, and I got him the last two times. Got him big against Jonathan Pierce and as well against Medic. And now you're seeing this line ping pong around, right? You got a few guys that a lot of people are saying that they love Omar Morales, love him, love him, love him. But I just don't understand why. Like Omar, his last he just got brutally knocked out his last fight, right? Not brutally, but he got knocked out in his last fight. You somehow said that you thought that he won that round, the first round, which he obviously clearly did not. I don't care what the judges, judged, but he didn't win that round. And when you go to grappling on him, I just feel is very easy to say. He reminds me of Johan Lioness, where he's more fluid on the feet, no doubt about it. More fluid on the feet, kind of moves well, here and there. But when you start mixing it, you can easily, I feel, outmaneuver Omar Morales. Look at his opposition. The only 155er he's beat, uh Daung Ma, and that was 4 years ago, man. And right, a lot of his fights are against 145ers, right? Gabriel Benitez, Giga, Shane Young. Jonathan Pierce, he got dominated against Giga. You're just too slow at 145. And then even the Shane Young or Gabriel Benitez fights, if you actually look back and watch those fights, they were not dominant performances. This guy is not, I don't think, UFC level. I don't think his training situation is very good. Now let me go to the Chris Duncan side, just because I don't want to disparage Omar Morales too much. He's worked, to get there all right. Like he has some skills. Don't get me wrong. He can win this fight. But Duncan, let's go to him. Solid, grappling. I feel people say that his grappling's not good enough to implement on the UFC level. I disagree. I think he's got the skills. It just hasn't gotten put together. He's still a young fighter. Only has 10 total fights. 93 guy as well. Um, and what was I saying? Moved to ATT, 10-week camp. Omar Morales in on 4-week notice. This guy was already gonna fight Figlik here. Hometown, like home country fight for Chris Duncan here. Now, in the striking, yeah, Chris Duncan's a little stiff. He's a little plotty overall. But I don't feel that it's hard to hit Omar Morales. I feel that Omar Morales is a overrated hitter, right? If you look at his career, he actually has 2 knockouts, I believe, right? One of them was a corner stoppage, and then the other one it was like against a cab driver, because he elbowed him in the back of the head, which he originally got DQ'd for. Result overturned, right? So he doesn't actually have crazy power. And Chris Duncan shown crazy resilience. Definitely has a better cardio here, better grappler. I think he can hurt Omar Morales just as much as he can, be hurt himself. And Omar's almost 38 years old. I just don't see why you'd want to bet this guy at juice. And I think the market is agreeing with me here. And I think that Duncan will continue to go to the favorite. A lot of jumbled up thoughts, but I just don't like Omar Morales as a fighter. Like he has not shown to me any plus skills overall, and I feel Duncan will implement the correct strategy, more like the Jonathan Pierce fight, and finish Omar Morales.
But he doesn't wrestle in any of his fights
Will
though.
will wrestle in
Like
this fight, Martian.
he do
Do you
I
want
don't
to
think so, bro.
let's
Just cause
Martian,
he
Martian,
trained with
Martian,
with
Martian, Martian.
Grant.
Right? You don't think he will? I think he will. That's it.
But then I just don't think there's much footage
All right,
of
we're
this
trying to
guy
project. We're trying to
grappling
project.
as a path.
You think that he was gonna? Do you think he
Yeah,
was gonna strike with Charlie Campbell for 15 minutes? You think that was
I don't know, bro. He looked like he had no game plan in that
uh,
fight, bro.
the Slava fight? Did he not?
Well,
Did
here's
he
the
not start
here
taking the guy down?
after he got pieced up a little
It's a
bit, yeah.
15-minute
But
fight,
so
guys. Like I don't. This is the thing that I don't understand. Like the fight is playing out. There's multiple rounds of the fight, right? Like okay, if Omar Morales doesn't get taken down in the first round, like against JSP or whatever it is, or he did get taken down, but they got back up. Got dominated in the second round. Over. Same thing that happened in the Medic
yeah,
fight. He
bro,
had a good
Pierce is like
in the
a
Medic
really
fight. He tried. He was doing okay, and then he got bludgeoned as well. People say like that this guy's hittable, bro. Omar Morales does not have good defense. He's not good at any aspect of MMA. He just looks like he like he's doing a lot of stuff, but he's kind of like
yeah, but neither
he's a
is Duncan,
dancer
bro.
guy.
Neither
He's
is
a
Duncan, bro.
dancer guy. He's kind of
But
like a guy
but
like
bro,
that. He
listen,
looks like
Ozzy,
he's dangerous. He's not really dangerous.
you know that Chris Duncan is not good at anything in MMA.
Duncan is the
He's
better
not.
he's
He's
a
good at
superior grappler in this fight. He's not
no,
better
bro.
than Omar
He's
Morales.
there.
You're sure about that?
I don't know. I really
Okay,
don't think so. I
right.
really don't think so.
Why? So
I
you
mean,
should
like I
lay the
said,
hammer on Omar Morales here.
I'm betting I will bet,
Okay.
Omar here. But so I do agree with what you partially what you're saying about Omar. He's never been like a blow you out of the water type guy. There's nothing to really write home about him, but I think he's solid. He is old. He's 37, but if you look at his career, I mean, he hasn't taken a lot of damage. He hasn't had a tough career. He got into fighting. He only really got serious about fighting. It looks like really in like
This will be
2018,
his last.
19. Uh,
This will be his last fight.
don't forget, bro, he knocked out the legend Harvey Park. You can't you were talking about his knockouts and
This
you
will be
forgot that
Omar's
one.
last fight.
Um, but so I think that I think on the feet, Omar is just a lot sharper. I think that he's going to be able to counter Duncan. I watched a lot of Duncan striking, and this guy's kicks are so telegraphed. He just gives his opponents tells that he's throwing kicks. And when he throws punches, he really also loads up on them, and he doesn't really cover distance too well. That's what you saw Charlie Campbell crack him a few times with, Borshev as well. It's like Duncan is at this kicking range. He's a little far away, and he wants to punch you. He kind of doesn't set it up, and he ends up getting countered. So I think that's what's going to happen here. He's going to be trying to load up and hit Omar with strikes, but Omar is going to be a little bit quicker to the punch, and I think the leg kicks of Omar will be there as well. Orthodox versus orthodox matchup. Duncan is so heavy on his lead legs. And, Charlie Campbell was hitting this guy with a lot of good shots. If Morales, goes for the kill, gets wild, he could get caught. I mean, that would be stupid. If he hurts Duncan with the strike and he tries to go for the kill, there's a good chance that he could end up the same way. But I think he's gonna, be patient here, pick a shots, hit the leg kicks, hit a punch every now and then, and just kind of slowly pick Duncan apart until Duncan doesn't have much left. I will say Duncan is good at battling back from adversity. This guy has been losing fights before and come back multiple times. I think he does have that dog in him. But I just think Omar is a little bit cleaner. Up until Medic, hitting him with some massive punches, I thought he was looking pretty good in that fight. And yeah, I mean, I think, Medic is just a much tougher, he's a tall, lanky southpaw. He's quick. He's not a bad fighter at all, and I just think this is a way different matchup. Same JSP. I mean, relentless, really good grappler. Such a different matchup. That I just think that Duncan is kind of on the level of the guys that Morales has beat instead of the guys he's lost to. So I'll be on Omar for like, 1.5 units, somewhere in that range. Next fight here is the last fight on the prelims. We're finally at the end of the prelims. Jack Shore taking on Makwan Amirkhani, featherweight division. Jack Shore, massive favorite, -500. Makwan Amirkhani, +375. I mean, I guess the money line is sort of right here. I think it's maybe a little wide, just considering Makwan. I mean, his last fight was against JSP, who is a much better fighter than Jack Shore, and Makwan closed like +130 there, something absurd. And now he's 4-1 against Shore. Shore is coming off a knee injury, right? He had a knee injury in last September, just 6 months ago. He's moving up to 145 here. He's coming off his first loss. He's coming off of getting dropped, maybe the first time. So I just think there's too many question marks for sure to even be thinking about betting him here or parlaying him here. I mean, I guess he's going to eventually win the fight, but I think that he's definitely not going to look like an easy -500 doing so. Um, I mean, Makwan, in just straight grappling, I think the guy's, a decent, above average grappler. I think that he can hold his own in the grappling for sure. And it seems like a Makwan is not interested at fooling around at range at all. I think he will go to the grappling. I think these guys will have a competitive round and a half of grappling, and eventually Shore will take over on cardio because Makwan does slow down pretty regularly. But looking at the tempo props of this one, they have the over at 1.5. I don't think that's right, man. I mean, Makwan, bro, he's gone to decision with Edson Barbosa recently. I mean, like, I know it's a different matchup, but like, I mean, this guy doesn't he's not an easy out in terms of a finish. And especially because he's mostly a guy who will be TKO'd, and while Shore is more of a guy who subs people with his finishes. So I kind of think that Jack is live to finish him in the second half of the fight, but I like the over 1.5 here. I bet it at -170, 1.7 units. I just think it's good. I think Makwan is competitive enough to make it over 1.5 here. So what about you?
Um, a lot of things you said make sense. Jack Short being this bigger favorite, no makes sense. Um, Obviously we got him bad last time against Ricky. Ricky choked that some bitch out, broke his will there easily. Um, yeah,
In
New
New York?
York and Long Island, Strong Island. Yeah, so Makwan Southpaw here. Jack Shore though. I like Jack Shore. I like Jack Shore's mind. I think Jack Shore would be a hell of a coach. Be a great academy that maybe he could open up here in the future. But I do think that Makwan potentially could be in this fight if he doesn't gas too much. Jack Shore, although he does actually push a decent pace, I feel like you could maybe neutralize it a little bit, and I feel Makwan maybe has the tools to do that. I do have a little bet on that over as well. But other than that, maybe you could play a little stab on Makwan here, to win the fight. Money line, I do think is maybe a little bit aggressive. But otherwise, just the over.
And like I was saying, Makwan probably gets, finished late here, but the odds are extremely wise to that. The round two for sure, 3 to 1, round five, three, 5 to 1, some of the worst prices I've ever seen for a round three prop. And I almost think you're better off just going with decision,
I
sure
mean, yeah,
decision
I
at three twenty
agree.
five.
Remember, people, Jack Shore, he don't got that JSP juice. Like JSP, he's from Tennessee, that wrestling over there, and just he's a mean motherfucker, right? Like Jack Shore, he's not nasty
Yeah.
like that.
So, yeah, Makwan made it over 1.5 with JSP, who's a lot nastier. And then Jack Shore, decision versus Shalinian, decision Azure. That bum Aaron Phillips almost made it to one and a
Oh
half, which
God,
I
Martian, why
also
do you gotta
bet.
bring these things up, dude?
And then before that, round three finishes in a row. So this guy clearly isn't like a super fast starter. So I
He's
just think that
British.
this one goes over one and a
Aid the
half more often than
Brits.
not. And, like, I also with him going up in weight, I think, like, Makwan just might just, have a few moments, have some competitive scrambles in round 1. I don't think Makwan will get subbed in round 1.
Already
So
done.
sounds like we're in agreement there. Main card time, pretty weak main card, honestly. I'm sure the British fans will enjoy it at, fucking 7 a.m. on a
It's not 7
Sunday,
a.m.
which is
It's
I'm
not
pretty
7
sure.
a.m.
Yeah. Yeah, it
No,
is, I think. With
Martian.
the main
No,
the main
no,
card
just
the main card starts at
no.
10 p.m. Eastern. They're 6 hours ahead. That means the main card starts at 4 in the morning there. And the main event will start around 7 a.m. You wanna fucking fact check that shit, dog? Um, anyway, um, first fight, middleweight division, best division. Marvin Vettori, Roman Dolidze. Vettori, the favorite at -270, Dolidze plus 230 on the comeback. Interesting one here. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so this is a fight here, like I said, number one European contender fight here. I know some guys that like Marvin Vettori. Personally, I've never, ever, ever Marvin Vettori guy. This fight reminds me a lot of that fight against Andrew Hernandez, or Andrew Sanchez, I should say. Um where I was on him, it's a similar price as well. I remember it's like 220, 225, something like that. And Marvin just gas pedaled him. He was just kept him at range, just throwing these shots. But Marvin's just such a boring fighter. Like Marvin is so ready to PFL. And they should be ready to send him to PFL. Why can't we get a trade going? Let's get a trade. Who could we trade, Martian? Who would you want to come from PFL for Marvin Vettori?
Give us Omari back, bro. I want
Want
Omari
Amari
back.
back? Interesting acquisition by you.
Or what
Um,
about Wilkinson, bro?
Nah, they wouldn't. We'd have to come on, Martian. You ever play
You'd have to give
Madden?
him more. You'd have to give
Yeah,
him
come
more.
on, dude. What are you talking about, Woken? He just won the thing. No, you need to go for like a contender guy or someone in the think of like a welterweight. Like one of the welterweights, Sada Busi. You like Sada Oh no, he just won the shit too. Fuck. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Ray
Man,
Cooper.
they've
Ray
got the
Cooper. Ray Cooper. Get me Ray Cooper and I'll trade you Marvin. That's a perfect trade. I love that trade. Love that trade, Ray
they're not
Cooper.
giving that shit. That
Bro,
shit don't add
Ray
up on the
Cooper,
Madden meter
Dana
either.
White would love Ray Cooper, bro. Dana
Yeah,
White
but
would
he's so
love Ray
but
Cooper.
Ray Sefo loves him currently. He's the
Exactly.
dog. He's the
It's a perfect trade. Marvin he's there to barter it in Extreme Couture. But anyway, let me get to this
no,
fight.
no.
That's a perfect trade. Sean, if they rip that shit off, I'm telling you, they listen to the podcast. Now, this fight, yeah. So Marvin, he's just so boring. He's got pillow fist. He's not really aggressive. Rob, destroyed him last fight. Had him just so hesitant. And that's the thing with Marvin. It's like if you have any danger from Marvin, Marvin's completely neutered because he can't get it all up in your face in the kitchen. Because he either doesn't want to get hit, maybe doesn't want to get taken down. And Rob did all those things to him. And I think Roman do similar things, but just with more of like hey, I'm Roman Dolidze, and I just kind of throw like, clubbing, bludgeoning shots, doesn't matter, like, wide ass hooks, elbows, forearms, knees, and things like that in the striking sense. And in the grappling realm, obviously the guy's a dangerous grappler there. So I just think that his baseline is probably a bit better than this pricier. His cardio is probably the biggest detriment he has here, or the biggest negative he has compared to Marvin. But I think potentially he maybe he could, slow the fight down with some of his grappling, and make it a little bit less of an issue. But I'm not really interested in playing this fight too much. But the only way I would look is definitely the Roman side. There's no way I would ever lay this kind of juice on Marvin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much of an opinion on a bet here. I mean, obviously, Dolidze fights are, uncappable. You cannot predict what's going to happen in these guys' fights. Um, he's nasty on bottom, though. He is nasty with the leg locks, the entries. He almost gives up top position or bottom position at times just so he could fool around with the legs, which, 9 times out of 10 is a terrible idea in MMA. But Dolidze seems to be the one guy who makes it work. Interesting here about these the finish props. All four method of victories KO for both guys, sub for both guys are right around like 6 to 1. So they're basically saying that any finish here is equally possible, which I
Definitely
don't
not.
know. I have
Definitely
no.
not.
Yeah, I mean Rome Vittori KO. I mean this guy doesn't KO anybody. He is, like you said, pillow fist. But Dolidze probably is live to collapse down the stretch. I really don't know, man. I don't have an opinion on the
The
fight
fight should
at
be
all.
entertaining, but it's not a good fight to bet. It's just really not.
Yeah,
It's really not. Like,
it's not. I
people
agree.
that are laying 270 on Marvin, though, man, there's no way you're getting a deal on that, in my opinion. Like, I just don't see it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Dolidze sub 750, 900 on one book. BetMGM has a 900. That's the only prop I see like worth a stab, man. I don't know about this one. I truthfully do not know.
Also, you
Honestly,
were you
maybe
you you were you
GTD.
were wrong about this card. The main card starts at 5 o'clock Eastern.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
I'm gonna check that shit out.
All right,
But I was wrong about the time difference. It's only 4 hours, not not
you're just
not
wrong.
6.
You're just wrong all around, bro. You're just wrong all
I
around.
don't know. We'll see about that one.
Okay.
Oh, you're right, dude. No, 5 p.m. EDT. Yeah. What the fuck? I did not know that.
You thought Kamaru Usman was gonna fight at fucking 3 a.m. local time?
Well, I remember
Gabriel
Bisping
Gonzaga
versus
versus
no, bro.
Gabriel Gonzaga versus fucking Mirko Korkov. You remember that, right?
Bisping Bisping versus Henderson. That fight took place at regular time, 10
It
p.m.
was tape delay.
Um, no, it
I said,
wasn't.
what? It wasn't on live.
Yes, it was. Anyway, so I guess Vittori decision is my gun to my head pick here. I don't know. But that's the most likely outcome
Right, you
according to the
better
odds
make
by
sure.
far.
You better
So
make sure
not
your picks are
exactly a bold
clear.
take.
You better make sure your picks are clear for your boy to
Oh,
track
right.
you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's up.
Shout out my boy.
It's a big bro.
Anyway, moving on. Next fight. Highly
Do
anticipated
you know Michael
fight
Bisping was
here.
born in Cyprus?
No,
Easy,
did not.
easy.
Um, Jennifer Maia taking on Casey O'Neill, women's flyweight division. The odds for this one: Casey King O'Neill, -181. Maya +156. Your turn to start this one off. Actually, no, wait.
No, you go.
It's my turn. Fuck. Um, so Casey, friend of the podcast, she's friends with my boy Joey Coco. They've got a pretty tight relationship. And that makes this one tough because Casey definitely seems like the more up and coming prospect, the higher upside. But rewatching her fights, she definitely leaves a lot to be desired. That Roxanne Modafferi fight, just rewatching it. First of all, Casey's strikes look really slow. She's fighting, a disabled grandma in there, and she managed to get herself hit 100 times by that disabled grandma, and she got taken down. She got taken down 2 times as well. One judge, don't forget this, guys. One judge actually thought that Roxanne won that fight.
That's crazy.
Um, that the
That was in
same
Las
judge
Vegas. Was
gave.
that in Las Vegas?
No, no, it's in Texas because remember
Texas,
the judge
Texas.
gave it to No, this guy was like he was a literal rocket scientist, and I'm pretty sure they found child porn on his computer since that fight
Oh,
happened. I'm pretty sure.
whoa, whoa,
Imma fact check that one when it's Ozzy's turn to
whoa,
talk, but,
whoa. Drop his name too.
uh,
Drop his name as well.
I'm dead ass.
Let everybody
Anyway,
know his name.
um Jenny Maya, though, is just the proverbial spoiler. You know, this woman is always fighting prospects, always putting on vet lessons, and she's got hands, man. She's got good boxing technique, and she's got a little bit of pop in her punches as well. Not really easy to take down as well, Maya. She's a sturdy bitch. That's a really good way to describe her. Is just
Yeah,
sturdy.
that's right.
Um,
That's right.
and
She's like the
you know,
mascot for like Jennifer, Vanessa Mello, and all these other bitches. All these PFL bitches, they wish they could. They're like, yo, if we got in shape, we would be Jennifer
she's
Maya.
basically like a she's like a modern, like, Betch Kuhea who's, like, serious about fighting, you know? If Betch, like, got serious and, like, slimmed down, like, some of her obesity, I saw a picture of Betchy the other day, man, she looked huge. Um, in a good way,
Please
though, in a
retweet.
good way.
Please tweet that out.
In a good way,
Tweet
yeah,
that
I'll
out.
get y'all with the link, hit me up. It seems like, a lot of people are thinking O'Neil, volume takedowns versus Maya. I don't know, man. I think Maya is the better technical fighter, much more experienced. I think a little less question marks as well with her. She just came off a really solid performance against Moroz. O'Neil's coming off of I believe ACL surgery, right?
See,
Pretty debilitating surgery to come back from. She's young, so she definitely can come back from it. But just seeing how slow she looked in that Roxanne fight, seeing how harmless her punches looked, I'm actually a lot less optimistic about her chances here. And I kind of think that Jennifer Maya it will be the side as the dog. Um, and then one last thing I'll say is that um, people are saying on the feet it'll be Casey's volume, right? She throws 3 times as many strikes. A fight I'll point to is a Sun Sal versus Henry. Going into that fight, everyone would have said Henry's going to throw 3 times as many strikes as him. But when a Sun Sal, actually starts landing some punches, a crafty puncher lands some punches, all of a sudden that reliable volume that was in the past fights isn't there anymore, and that could happen here. People, Casey is not exactly a lock to just be a juggernaut on the feet, eat punches, and keep coming forward. She could get deterred by Maya's boxing here, which would make it a completely different fight. It would make her a little bit more desperate to grapple. And I'm not really blown away by O'Neil's wrestling either. I mean, look at the women she's wrestled. Anthony Shevchenko, who put her on bottom, Procopio, who put her on bottom, Dobson, who briefly had her in mount, as some will say. So, O'Neil's not even like blowing these women out of the water in the grappling. Dobson, Procopio, Shevchenko, and Maya is much, much better than her. So I'm kind of as the week goes on, growing a little bit more confident in Maya pulling off the upset here. But what are you thinking?
just so we're clear, the Dobson had mounted. That's an inside joke, guys. That did not happen. It's not real. All right. Just so
It was
people.
like a butterfly sweep. It
Look, I'll let people
like
determine based on their jujitsu knowledge. I'll let them determine what happened there on their own volition. But I'll just let them know that it's an inside joke. I want to spread more rumors. then we're already sprouted by that one individual. All right, who will remain nameless. But let's get into this fight because a lot of the things you say you obviously copied from me from what I told you about this fight. But yeah, I mean, there's a big thing like how slow this girl's hands looked against Roxanne, which is her performance that shows her pace in terms of striking the most, right? And the only reason she was fighting a blind person who like was her retirement fight. And yeah, she was able to hit her all that many times, but Roxanne has no power in her striking. And this girl, you could throw all those strikes you want, but if they're ineffective, it all doesn't always go in your favor. It could tire you out. It makes you available to be hit, and all these other things. And obviously, like every fight is unique. It's a calculation she is making, I assume. That she's like, hey, Roxanne, she's not dangerous. I probably sparred with her before. I know her. I know girls that sparred with her. I know she can't do shit to me. When you see this Brazilian bulldog on the other end sniffing those fucking gloves, like Vanderlei Silva, I think that there's gonna be a different approach here from Casey O'Neil. So that's where the fight gets interesting to me because I feel like you said, her wrestling not the best. Her ground game though is very well suited for MMA, and Jennifer Maia not so much. She goes for arm bars on off her back, which this is women's MMA, so I don't want to patronize her and tell her how to perform in her own sport because of the arm bar from guard is very effective in women's.
That shit got her a title shot, bro.
Exactly what I was gonna
The armbar
say.
from
Hey,
guard got her a title
exactly,
shot.
dude. That's what I was gonna say. It is very effective in women's MMA, and I'm known to pull off an armbar or two in my time as well. So I'm not gonna blame her, but I feel that the top game that we're seeing developed at some of these MMA gyms is just bad to be on bottom now. If you're not sweep focused or get up focused. But this will be an intriguing fight. But I am definitely very much considering a play on Maia here, maybe here by decision, just because I do think Casey is really, really tough. I think that even if she does get caught with a punch, she'll be able to scramble around. But you know what I was looking at, Martian? I'm not gonna lie, Jenny Maia by submission. But I kind of wanted a little more than this 10-1, 12-1. But I think I'm gonna get involved in this fight from a prop perspective in some way. On the Jenny Maia side,
What's her IT? You might as well just do
yeah,
ITD
might
650.
as well do the ITD, but I was hoping for a nice fat submission ticket. I did bet a submission ticket further up on the card that we'll get to. That I took a recommendation from a friend of ours. Yeah, I
Interesting.
like Casey, or I like I'm a fan of Casey O'Neil's, but Jenny Maya, glove sniffer, supreme glove sniffer, the master. She's gonna give Casey O'Neil a tough test. If Casey could beat Jennifer Maya easily, no, she is the real.
Um, did confirm Judge Rob Alexander, who had the fight for Roxanne and who had Vandera beating Arlovsky, was charged with aggravated sexual assault of a child and sexual contact indecency with a child. So hell of a
Yeah,
lifestyle that
Vandera
guy lived.
beating Arlovsky?
Yeah, same guy had Vandera beating Vandera beating Arlovsky, and then he had Roxanne winning that fight.
Oh, same night.
He was a literal rocket scientist, literal aerospace engineer.
Nice.
Um, Interesting, right? What an interesting life path. He's judging MMA fights on Saturday nights, doing who knows what with
Houston.
children, and
Yeah.
then just on Monday morning going right back to the aerospace industry.
Houston, he is a problem. He is a problem.
Oh fuck. Next fight, welterweight division, Gunnar Nelson, Brian Barberena. Barberena, huge underdog here, plus 280. Gunnar Nelson, big favorite, minus 355. Your turn to start this one off.
Oh,
Kind of a stupid fight here, but what are we thinking?
I mean, Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson's a legend. Love this guy, Gunnar Nelson. When I was like doing jujitsu and starting up, I remember he was doing like ADCC, and people would say like Gunnar Nelson, he doesn't even train that much, this or that. I remember he was at like a jujitsu tournament, and you weren't supposed to do some certain shit. I don't know what happened, but there was a security guard. I heard he got thrown around a little bit. I saw the aftermath, and they were like, "Was Gunnar Nelson?" And I was like, "Wow." And then I saw him come into UFC, and he's just a guy right here, right? They've always said Gunnar Nelson should be at a lighter weight class, right? You've heard that, Martian, right? He should be a lightweight. He should be more active. But man, if you see, like the guy only takes fights to real guys. I think that's the problem. He kind of gets bored, fighting. Because look, I mean, he's fought like Amadovsky before Amadovsky is a real guy, like Zach Cummings, like even like his fight, like Tumanov, Ponzinibbio, but these other fights, he's only really fought really good guys. Um, and I think the Daniel Rodriguez fight would have been really interesting because you had a stylistic clash there. But against Barberena, you kind of saw the unfortunate nature of how that RDA fight ended. That was just not cool. I didn't like that. Um, and I feel that Gunnar Nelson, actually, jiu-jitsu wise, is I'm not gonna say better than RDA, but I feel like a bigger submission repertoire than RDA. But I do think RDA is a little bit more sticky sometimes with the takedowns, and the grappling, and the wrestling. So I'm gonna be interested to see if Barbrena could get any momentum going at all. I don't think so. I think he's gonna get finished here. I think it's gonna be a submission here. Just because Barbrena, he's crazy. He's gonna try to escape. He's gonna try to get out. But I feel that the amount of threats that Gunnar can put down on him is gonna get him the submission here. Um, but that's about it.
So I bet the over 1.5 here, minus 150.
I see that.
And now, what'd you say?
I could, I,
You
I,
saw
I
that?
could see that.
Yeah. I mean, so it has a lot of things going for it, but something you just alluded to is Barberena. He does generally not like concede defeat. Like if he's losing, if he's getting stuck on bottom, he's not gonna just lay there and defend like Takashi Sato did. Um, like, I bet Gunner ITD there, and, it was a painful, excruciating bet to watch. But, obviously, like, Sato just knew, "Hey, I'm losing this fight. I don't wanna get submitted," and just devoted all of his energy to doing nothing and not getting submitted. Barberena, if he's on bottom, he probably is going to try to, recklessly stand up, possibly give himself up for a position. But, talking about it from a mathematical perspective, over 1.5, 60%. I mean, I think Barberena finishing the fight under 1.5 is extremely unlikely, and Gunnar could submit him early on, but so Brian Barberena made it over 1.5 rounds with Rafael dos Anjos, who is, I believe, a better wrestler, better fighter, better jiu-jitsu fighter, than Gunnar. So if he can make it that long, that's good for him. And then Gunnar Nelson was also just going, the full 15 minutes with Takashi Sato, which I think is, just a terrible look. So uh, I just think that, the math is on the side of going over 1.5 here at a little bit higher than 70% or 60%. I think it probably should be closer to 70. Gunner might sub him, but I definitely lean it being a little bit over. 1.5 because, RDA took Barberena down within a minute of round 1. So he was on bottom for 4 minutes in round 1, he was on bottom for 2 minutes of round 2, so he got controlled, and he was in mount, he had his back taken, he defended arm triangles, he was in a bad spots, and he still made it over 1.5 versus RDA. And also, there's a good chance the Gunner does that, bullshit karate on the outside, we're gonna be these guys might kill a few minutes on the feet before they even hit the ground. So I like Barb's chances to make it over a 1.5. Um, I don't think Barberena has ever been finished under 1.5 in his entire UFC career. Yeah, no, he's been finished in round 3 a few times, round 2 in his last fight, but never been finished under 1.5. So um, I like that there. Next fight, co-main event time. Banger of all bangers, amazing matchup here. Justin Gaethje taking on Rafael Fiziev. The odds for this one, Fiziev minus 220, Gaethje plus 185. Um, I've historically been a pretty big supporter of Gaethje, bet him in a lot of his fights. And I don't know, I'm having trouble getting excited about backing him here. Um, I really sometimes it's pretty or most of the time it's evidently clear to me who, I would say the value side is on a fight. This one I'm actually kind of up in the air. I really don't know. I think I would not advise laying 2 to 1 over Justin Gaethje. I think that's kind of a reckless proposal. But I do see Fiziev winning the fight. I just think, it's going to be a striking fight, right? It's very unlikely these guys grapple. Fiziev's takedown defense looked dynamite against RDA. And that fight really impressed me from Fiziev. That was, I think, his probably his best win. The fight where he really, really proved that he's a tank to take down. He's hard to take down, and he's just a juggernaut on the feet, man. So, this fight's going to be a striking fight, and I think that Fiziev is just a lot more technical, comfortable, consistent in the striking. Gaethje has put on great performances in striking in his career, but versus Oliveira, man, he just looked really frantic in there. I know Oliveira brings a hellacious pace, but Gaethje, we've seen him be patient at times, fight behind the leg kick, fight behind the jab. Ferguson was a very measured performance. Even versus Khabib, he was fighting well early on, and he just had no composure versus Oliveira. He was just back to his old wild World Series of Fighting self, and I just think that that's a really dangerous recipe here against Fiziev because Fiziev is so sharp. He rips kicks to the body. Gaethje's been notoriously soft to the body throughout his career. Um, and Fiziev not a really a big hitter to the head, but I think that Fiziev can jab, can stick, can kick his way to a safe striking decision here. Actually, I know a lot of people would assume this fight's going under, not going the distance. I actually think we could see a measured and calculated performance from Fiziev that leads to him fighting cautiously and fighting to a decision here. So Fiziev decision plus 250. That looks good to me. What about you?
Love this fight. Amazing fight. You know, Gaethje, the first time I saw him was against Dan Lozon, where I mean, it was just a different. I have never seen a guy fight like that ever in my life. Like, with the leg kicks and all those kinds of things. And I mean, he's lived up to all the hype, that he brought in, that he from when he was outside the UFC, within the UFC, but he's just never been able to touch that lightweight belt. And now he's fighting a guy where seeing Fiziev, peaking, right? 1993 Martian, need I remind you, he's peaking. And he's ready to take what Justin Gaethje's spot, and he looked ready in that last fight. I watched that last fight against RDA. We were on RDA in that fight, and I mean the danger that he brought. This is the first time I had rewatched that fight. I believe the danger that he had, put that he had available to put out and was putting out there. I had a newfound respect. I did like a bunch of slow mos there, a bunch of like retakes, and he was just really close, honestly, on a lot of strikes that would knock out a lot of guys. Flying knees, some kicks, just throwing up these kicks, and RDA tries to block it, and he like barely touches it, and like could easily have knocked him out. A lot of punches and stuff like that here or there. So his timing is unreal. The way that he throws kicks to the body is different. And I think that he's gonna be able to get the timing of Justin here is the issue. But before that happens, could Justin club him with one of these punches? Absolutely. I think specifically the left hook. I feel like uh that's the side that Fiziev is a little weaker to. When I see him dodging some of these punches, I think that he definitely favors, going in one direction over the other. So I think that Justin is live to knock him out, but it has to be early because I feel after a little bit, Justin's gonna get or Rafael's gonna get his timing and be able to find a finish here or find a big strike. But I think there is potential, like you're saying, of a more tepid striking pace for a decision-based fight, where this fight is 1-1, and Justin comes out really strong, in round three and shows his experience here. So, I'm really interested in watching the fight. I'm just in a row with Justin. I just always kind of like back and support him. So I'm gonna just stay with him here. I don't know if I'm gonna get in with a money line ticket. I think I might just take a KO price, and then see if I could get involved live. Because I think if this is a fight where I like, let's say I'm holding a finish ticket, but it's going to decision. Like, I feel like I'll be able to get a live number from, you know what I mean? Like, it'll be a close fight where maybe, oh, like after round one, I ended up getting in on him or something like that, where it'll still be plus money. So I'd rather just take the bigger price on the KO.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think this fight will come down to defense a lot, and I just think Fiziev a lot more defensively responsible. I mean, more durable.
You don't like Justin KO at 350?
Um, it's probably the way to play him. I don't see him. I don't see him being a decision, high decision
But he
equity.
could knock him out in any of the round. Like,
I
it's
guess.
not like Justin Gaethje doesn't carry power in the
I
third
kind of
round.
think that. I kind of think those odds are accurate. Like,
I
about
agree. I agree with you, but you know what I'm saying. Like, this is not like Justin's only chance of finishes in the first round.
no, I agree. Yeah,
He can
but
finish him in any round.
yeah, but the Fiziev is such an experienced striker. I just think that the later the fight goes, the more more reads and more comfortable he's gonna be. And
Sure, that's
Ga-
true, but he's also taking shots from Justin Gaethje. Like, Justin's gonna land some leg kicks here. He's gonna land some stuff here in
yeah,
the
but
fight.
Fiziev checks kicks, bro. I mean, he's
Fiziev
nasty.
checks kicks, dude, but it's different, dude,
Something
when
I
it's
was
coming
thinking about
from
with this
Justin
fight. Now, this
Gaethje.
might be some stupid shit, but also like preparing for this fight. I just think that Gaethje's a lot easier to emulate for Fiziev's training partners. While Fiziev is
Yeah,
just like a unique motherfucker who's hard to prepare for.
sure.
Um,
I think that Justin's style doesn't matter the kind of guy he's fighting.
I remember watching that last fight against RDA and just thinking, like, I don't want to be betting against this guy again, unless we got a really good matchup. And I don't know, man. I think Fiziev is a really, really good fighter. Um, but this fight's fucking amazing. I mean, what a matchup! Great matchup.
I haven't gotten too many Fiziev fights right, I will admit. I did have him big against Mark DeCasey. That was one of my favorite
Yeah,
bets I've ever had. But other than that,
both dead wrong on fucking,
I have been on him. I've been against him.
Riddell.
I think the Bobby Green fight, I didn't have any side there. The other three, I was against him. So
All right, next fight, main event time, the trilogy. Leon Edwards, the champion, taking on Kamaru Usman, the challenger. The challenger, Usman minus 250, Edwards plus 210. Your turn to start this one off. Thoughts on the trilogy?
yeah, I mean, it's funny that they call it a trilogy because like nobody fucking remembers that first fight at all. Um, but yeah, I mean, you saw in that last fight, I didn't. I the only bet I had like a very small bet on the over 4.5, which barely won, obviously. But I didn't get involved in the Kamaru thing, and I've traditionally always been opposed to like backing Israel Adesanya. And then look what happens, right? Fucking, I should have just kept away from both those. I did keep away from, stay away from Kamaru. But I'm in now. I'm like, it's a cheaper price here now. And I know that Kamaru is just still a dog, dude. Like in this training camp, they didn't do it as much behind closed. Like they did a little bit more mixed sparring, if you know what I mean. Like just and I mean, from all indications, Usman is still an animal, dude. He's still like the stuff with the hand, all this kind of stuff. Seems fine to me from what I hear, and he's kind of with it, and it's not like this fight was rushed and anything like that. Like, yeah, he got knocked out. It's a bad knockout, but guys come back from knockouts like that all the time. The still image of the guy, laying flat on his back and looking up at Herb Dean, with the glossed eyes over, it makes it worse. But reality is, the guy was up, and it is what it is from there. He's traditionally been pretty durable. Now, here I think you could bet on Kamaru and then maybe like pair it with Leon to win by knockout maybe again. And I think maybe you have like a good opportunity there. My boy Pepe did tell me to bet Leon submission 20-1. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. So I got some 20-1 Leon by submission. Maybe, he hits him and Usman like starts wrestling him or something like that. And then he submits him. And if he does, I don't care because 20-1 submission will cover. I'm not laying 5 units like these people. This is the thing, man. Like there are more fights. Just because you think that the Usman thing is maybe like crazy value or like value a bit, like I don't know, maybe you don't get overextended. Like Peter Yan, 5 units. It's like guys, like there's a lot of fights that we can bet on now. Um, Fellas coming up, like we don't need to be laying the hammer all the time, especially some of these fights that can be volatile against elite caliber fighters. But I digress, right? I rather target guys like freaking Tofik versus Shabili, and stuff like that. Um, Bigger bet. But yeah, I got Usman. I just think Usman's gonna be able to put the pace on him. The same thing. Leon's making a bunch of excuses. Leon won the fight, and he makes like tons of excuses still. And he just, I don't like I just don't like his style all that much with that. And like some of the strikes, he throws a good left hand. He landed it a few times, overhand left, a number of times, and obviously the head kick. But other than that, he doesn't punch a combination. He's backing up, very very often. And if Usman wants to not play too much at range, like Leon is not going to really be able to stop some of these takedowns. Like you saw some of those scrambles. Like Leon just does not have the motor that Kamaru does and the speed and taking angles and things like that in the grappling dimension. So I love Kamaru in this fight. Should be able to get his title back. Hopefully, setting up a fight with Chimaev sometime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I generally agree with all that. I just I think Camaro in this spot seems kind of obvious, and that's why it makes me a little hesitant. I mean, from both the fights we've seen, I think it's pretty clear that Usman is, 70% minimum versus Leon. I mean, he won
Easily, easily.
he won 2 rounds of the first fight, actually one judge gave him 3 rounds. Um, but the majority of people thought Edwards won round 1, so that means, he won 2 rounds to 1. Next fight, Edwards gets the mount in round 1, that wins him the round, but then he loses the next 4. So of the official rounds we've seen, Usman has won 5 out of 7 of them. Um, so, what is that probability wise? 71%. Okay, there you go. That's kind of what the odds are exactly right now. So, um, But when you just factor in that it seems to be a trend in these fights that, like you said, Usman builds into them better, has a better motor. He struggled in round one of the first fight, or both fights he struggled in round one, but he, rectified that and put a pace on Edwards in the later rounds. And he was 60 seconds away from, 49-46 in him. He was a minus 5,000 favorite in the live lines. And if you would have told me even right after the knockout, hey, Usman minus 250 in the next fight, I would have said, give me it. I'll take it. Because he looked like a bigger than minus 250 favorite in that last fight. And some people, some fucking morons have trouble grasping that. Oh, he lost the fight. How did he look like a minus 250 favorite? All right. Well, when you wake up and start understanding how fighting and probability works, you can hit me up. But he certainly looked like a bigger favorite than minus 250 in that last fight, and I'll just trust him to get right back to it. There's a slight possibility the knockout completely changed him and he'll never be the same. I don't really buy that. I don't think that typically happens. Is it was one shot, a beautiful place kick, but it was a Hail Mary. That's exactly what it was. It was just I mean, it was like a Hail Mary and then recovering the onside kick and then getting another Hail Mary in less than 2 minutes is essentially what it was if you're comparing it to an NFL game. But props to Leon for pulling off the miracle. Guys, don't forget, I bet Leon Edwards in that fight. It was a terrible bet. I got extremely lucky. I also bet goes the distance, which
What was
was
the price? What was the price? Like
it was
260?
290, yeah, 290.
90.
I made a bet on goes the distance, which was a great bet that lost.
Yeah.
So, you
Uh,
know, I'll take Usman here. I do just get the feeling that like everyone feels like Usman's, easiest bet of the century. He's gonna make it look so easy. And I don't think it's gonna be
but what
completely
if
that easy,
you
but I
don't
think he
think
will
so,
win.
dude?
Yeah, I mean,
Did Leon stop any takedowns in that fight?
that's a good question. Let's look at what our trusted friend UFC
Man,
stats say. I would say probably stuff
I
like
think
two.
he did, but I really don't think he did. You know what I mean?
Like 2 out of like all right, Usman had 5 it said he went 5 for 12 allegedly.
Man, I really don't feel that that happened. Like in
Yeah.
the first, all right, okay, first round he went 1 for 4. It says, I guess that makes sense. But that's what I felt after the first round. Like in the fifth round, the takedowns that he didn't really try to take him down. That's the thing.
He was cruising, yeah. I mean, he
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 didn't
he
really
he
try
he
that
was
much.
cruising, he paid the ultimate price,
I
and it'll
just felt in those grappling, bro. I'm from me watching it, Leon didn't look that much better, and he doesn't. You know, this is a problem, Martian. He doesn't counter grapple. If when Kamaru has him, Kamaru has him. You know what I mean? Like the only threat is Leon standing up, but it's not that Leon gets away or that Leon gets on top or Leon threatens a submission. So that's his problem, dude. He doesn't have enough of a threat with his grappling. Like his grappling, he's like looking around and then he's like, okay, boom, he's building up to his knee and then he's, fighting the hands. But he doesn't do shit like to counter grapple. Like the guys are not scared of him. That's why I
Yeah,
think
I
that
think it'll kinda be like,
Tom Brady would just submit Leon,
I
choke his
think,
ass out.
you guys hear that real quick? Just clarifying everybody heard that. Anyway, um, you know, uh, I had a point, fuck, you threw me off with that shit.
Giving
Yeah,
the listeners good
I thought I was
grappling
gonna
advice.
I think it's gonna look kinda like, Pena, Nunes too, where they were or everyone's gonna be, "Oh, clearly the champ, had a mental lapse in
I
there."
hope so.
They came in focused the next fight and they
I'm
won
telling
easy.
you, Kamaru's gonna win this fight, man. Come
I
on,
agree. I
Kamaru will
agree.
win this fight.
I cap him minus 400 honestly, so,
I think
um,
Kamaru will win. Let's go.
all right,
I
that's
gotta
gonna do
bet.
it.
I gotta bet on him. That's my second official bet that I. A few bets though. I'll update
I
sometime
like
soon.
Usman over 1.5 in the Gunner fight, over 1.5 in the Shore fight, Omar Morales, Santos, Dusko,
And make sure
and
all your
there's
picks are
probably
documented.
Miller ITD. Oh,
Okay.
they will be,
Sure they're
for sure.
documented, bro. Oh, you
Plus
usually yeah.
5.26 units last
Let's
week.
wrap it up though there.
Yep, that'll be it. I hope everyone enjoys the fights. Hope everybody um, wins some bets this weekend. And, enjoy all the fights. We'll see you all before the next UFC win. Peace out, everybody.